The model of the misunderstood, underappreciated American artist starts with John Vanderlyn. Burr thought a great deal of Vanderlyn's painting, and once proclaiming him the first artist in America.
He's someone from the wilderness who is now in the most cosmopolitan city in the world.
So he learns the high art of neoclassical history painting.
His self-portrait was shown at the Paris Salon of 1800, and Vanderlyn was the first American painter to be so honored.
Aaron Burr has an idea that Vanderlyn should go to Niagara Falls and paint the falls there.
Before returning to Paris, Vanderlyn painted the two well-known pendant profile portraits of Aaron Burr and his daughter Theodosia.
They said that he always wore a stick pen about this big, Theodosia's eye on it. They typically were exchanged between paramours. If he had Theodosia's eye, she would also have had Vanderlyn's eye, but she probably had hers in a closed locket because he didn't want people to see it. The death of Jane McCrea happened very close to Kingston, his childhood home. So the story of Jane McCrea became a story about the treachery of the British.
Vanderlyn had a notion of high art that he thought would be best expressed in historical landscapes like Marius.
If Vanderlyn had done nothing else in his career but Ariadne, he'd be remembered.
But a lot of Americans who looked at it, all they could see was something scandalous.
The poor man could never just paint. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to do these great history paintings.
Vanderlyn was a difficult personality, and he was a slow painter. He would irritate his own family members by forcing them to sit through 30, 40 separate sittings before finally executing the oil. The idea of a museum, the idea of an art gallery, that someone could walk in off the street and see great art, this was unknown in America, and it's Vanderlyn's innovation.
It was an 18-foot high picture. It was going to be roughly 100 feet in circumference, 50 some odd feet in diameter.
He never made money from this. Vanderlyn was always poor, always scraping for money.
He lost his rotunda. He became pretty bitter after that.
The Columbus painting in the Capitol was his last great historical painting. To his eternal damnation in America, Vanderlyn's paintings were termed Frenchified. There was a Puritan revolt against all things French, from which Vanderlyn suffered.
Toward the end of his life, he had no money, and he came home to Kingston in September of 1852. He had to borrow some money to travel from dropping off on the Rondout to come up to uptown Kingston. No one had seen him for a few days, so they went to his hotel room and they unlocked the door and they found that he had passed away. So he died broken, with no money, here in Kingston.
Hey, look, he was 77 years old or close to it when he decided to come back to Kingston.
With the frost of almost 80 winters upon his head, a heartbroken suppliant in the very village where he was born, and upon which he had reflected so much honor. Discouraged and disheartened by the coldness and indifference he had everywhere met, come back to die in the place of his birth, to lay down his reverend head, a beggar among his ungrateful countrymen.
He may not have even intended to stay in Kingston. He took a room someplace and he died in that room, all alone.